Next up on Big Talk from Libraries 2026 is Books Unbanned, the Freedom to Read. And we have Emilia, Jerry, and Trina Erickson from the McIntosh Memorial Library in Wisconsin. Their population served 4,500. They're right there in that middle bit that we were talking about. And they're going to talk about the things they've been doing at their library with intellectual freedom and working with their youth. So I will hand it over to you, Emilia and Trina, to tell us all about what you're doing.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. We are so excited and pleased that you are joining us here today. We are really excited to share our Books Unbanned journey with you, not just what we did, but how McIntosh Memorial Library, as a small rural location, has used trust, preparation, and team leadership to take on censorship in a meaningful and sustainable way. We do ask that you hold any questions you may have towards the end of the presentation. We do have a built-in Q&A, so any questions that may arise, we would be able to answer during that time.
Right, yeah, so go ahead and type them in whenever you're thinking of them, but we'll ask them at the end, yeah.
Yes, thank you for joining us. I'm Trina Erickson. I'm the director of the McIntosh Memorial Library here in Viroqua, Wisconsin. We are a small library. We serve a population of 4,500 people. But I want to always say there's a lot of power in small libraries. We were named the best library in the state of Wisconsin back in 2022.
And I'm Emilia. I'm the Youth Services Director here at McIntosh Memorial Library. We were founded as a Carnegie Library in 1904, but we were able to have the privilege of opening a new library location back in 2016. We are actually just celebrating our 10-year anniversary this month. We would like to say that McIntosh Memorial Library is in a welcoming, encouraging, and inviting space. We believe that libraries are more than just buildings with books. They're places of connection, learning, and conversation. That philosophy has helped to shape everything that you are going to hear today. So what is Books Unbanned? Books Unbanned is a national campaign that was founded and created by the Brooklyn Public Library back in 2022. It is focused on protecting and expanding young people's access to books that are being challenged or removed, especially titles that reflect diverse identities, experiences, and viewpoints. At its core, Books Unbanned is about intellectual freedom. It's about affirming that teens deserve access to information and stories. Libraries are a critical part of that access. What has helped make this campaign especially powerful for us is that it centers youth voices, not just as participants, but as leaders. We believe that libraries are a safe space for all conversations. So as I stated before, Brooklyn Public Library founded this campaign back in April of 2022. Brooklyn Public Library joined those that are fighting for the rights of teens nationwide to read what they like, discover themselves, and form their own opinions. Brooklyn Public Library used the American Library Association's Freedom to Read statement as part of their inspiration and was able to create Books Unbanned, the campaign. Books Unbanned is a response to an increasingly coordinated and, unfortunately, effective effort to remove books from library shelves. Emma Erickson is one of the staff at Brooklyn Public Library that focuses on this campaign. Her role as the manager of youth civic engagement and expression helps to support the national coordination of the 20 participating libraries in this year's campaign, and in the monthly meetings that the cohort hosts with Emma, has helped to walk us through the provided toolkit that you will see later and share resources that allow the libraries to achieve success in organization. These could be materials such as banned book bingo cards for program engagement with the teen ambassadors that we have assembled, or speaking opportunities. These can also be pre-assembled slideshows that detail the history of censorship in the United States, alongside many more. McIntosh Memorial Library, as a rural library, was one of 20 that were selected for the 2026 Books Unbanned campaign. It is Brooklyn Public Library's first year of doing national grants, but it is an initiative that they hope to continue to carry forward. It helps to share the voices of rural communities that may often be overlooked in the urban focalization.
So let's talk a little bit more about the grant that we received. As Emilia just stated, we are one of 20 libraries in the United States to receive this grant. We are especially proud because we are a small rural library. The grant award was $10,000, which is a lot of money for a small library. That's about triple what our normal programming budget is for the entire calendar year. And we knew that this was a campaign that was really focused on finding teens in our community to elevate their voices in the fight against censorship. And that's what we've been doing.
Now, starting out with your own campaign that is similar to or unlike Books UnBanned should always start with the groundwork. At McIntosh Memorial Library, we waited until we had meetings with our library director, our library board, and our staff before doing any sort of press or marketing for this campaign. Before this program went public, we wanted to prioritize the importance of preparation to the fullest extent. Throughout our monthly staff meetings, we had trainings on what Books UnBanned the campaign was and what the grant would entitle us to be able to complete. We talked about the overview of the timeline of events that our teen ambassadors who serve on this campaign would be completing throughout the library and nearby community space. We also talked about the possible outreach opportunities that would arise and what the teen ambassadors would be speaking on in the community. In our staff meetings, we had the staff complete role play scenarios. This meant that one staff member would pretend to be a patron and would ask a series of selected questions about Books UnBanned and its important relevance. This helped to build common language verbiage and phrases and education that the staff would feel comfortable and confident speaking on throughout the course of the year that this campaign would overlay.
So you might be wondering, how did you find these teen ambassadors? Because we all know if you work in libraries, especially public libraries, engaging with teens can be really challenging. They're very, very busy people. And so we felt that we were starting off on the right foot, but then we ended up having to pivot. So we started advertising that we were looking for some teens in our community that wanted to be part of our Books UnBanned censorship effort. We put out a press release and we did a bunch of social media posts, and the response was zero. And so Emilia and I put our heads together and realized in order to find these teens, we needed to do more of a grassroots effort. So Emilia went to the public school where she met with a lot of high schoolers and talked about the Books UnBanned campaign and that we were looking for teens interested in being a champion for censorship in our community. We did not want censorship and what their role would be. And so she did her presentation, left applications, and left. I did the same thing, but at a private high school in our community, where I also talked about the Books UnBanned campaign, what censorship means. I left applications and walked away. Emilia and I were hoping that we would get 3 teen ambassadors for this campaign, but we ended up getting 5. And they are pictured on the screen. 2 came from the public school and 3 came from the private school. And so these are the teen ambassadors. You see on the screen, it says the word paid teen internship. What we did is we took money from our $10,000 grant and we put it towards $50 Visa gift cards. So each of the teens were given a $50 gift card with the terms that they had to stick with us for 1 year, October 2025 to October 2026, for the entire 12-month Books UnBanned campaign. And so what we've been doing, I would say, since the teens came on board is kind of the back of house or the bookkeeping side of things. We've been working on skill building and advocacy building with the group. We've been talking about outreach and engagement, preparing them for events that are coming up, including one in just a couple of weeks. They've been practicing their public speaking skills and facilitation and really learning about advocacy and leadership development, all centered around the Books UnBanned campaign. And so now we feel that they are prepared for their first public event, which again is in just a couple of weeks, and we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes.
Our first meeting for this campaign kicked off in the beginning of November of 2025. Heavy recruitment in the 2 months prior McIntosh Memorial Library was able to assemble a team of 5 teen ambassadors, whom you just saw pictured in the slide before, who would act together to help boost the fight for intellectual freedom. With the establishment and expectation that the teen ambassadors would meet 2 to 3 times a month, plus any outreach opportunities that were to arise, we were able to start lining up speakers who would talk to the teens about topics that would be covered throughout the year that Books UnBanned would be taking place. The first of these speakers was Barry McKnight, pictured in the top. He is the outreach coordinator for the Winding Rivers Library System, of which McIntosh Memorial Library is a part of. With Barry, the teens learned about the Library Bill of Rights and the ALA Freedom to Read statement. Immediately afterwards, Emma Erickson of the Brooklyn Public Library, pictured below, joined us via Zoom and talked about the origins and history of the campaign alongside the resources that would be offered to the teens. One of these resources is the free e-library gift card that can be used at Brooklyn Public Library for the teens to have access to thousands of different banned book materials. If you have a personal device handy, you can go ahead and scan the QR code in the corner of the screen. And I've also asked Chelsea to include the link for this in the chat as well. You don't have to be a part of the campaign to enjoy and have access to these materials. I'll linger on this slide for a moment to give you a chance to scan that QR code, and then we will continue on. Okay. Now, you have heard a lot from both Trina and myself about this campaign and our role in it. We think it is time to switch it up a little and let you hear directly from our teen ambassadors all about Books UnBanned and why this matters to them. We want to emphasize the message that when teens are given space, they can lead with courage and honesty. They present an authentic storytelling perspective versus that of the adult narrative that is often presented for them. So, without further ado, here are our teen ambassadors.
My name is Esma, and I'm in 10th grade at the Division of High School. And I joined Books UnBanned because banned books is a topic that I feel is very close to my heart. As someone who a lot of these banned books I identify with, and they're very close to my heart. And I'm also someone who volunteers a lot in my local library in Gainesville Mills. And so far during this experience, I really learned how this is a problem that manifests very real in people's lives, and how this is just taking so much more of a toll than I originally thought it did. Like reading the testimonials and everything, it's like I'm really gaining so much knowledge about the true extent of how this is affecting people's lives. And I just really hope to gain just kind of the feeling that maybe I can do something about it, like that maybe we can do something, and that's kind of what I want to gain from this experience. So yeah, thank you. Bye.
I'm Carson Tracy. I'm currently a senior at Viroqua High School, and I joined Books UnBanned as a teen ambassador because I value the protection of freedom of speech, and I recognize the importance of ideas existing unrestricted. Something I've already learned from this campaign is that the history of banning books in the United States goes very far back into the 17th century, before the U.S. was a country. And something that I hope to gain from this experience is I hope to learn more about the importance of books being free to read in the community and how I can better express that opening of importance. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Max Moon. I'm 16 years old, and I go to the Emilia High School. I joined Books UnBanned because I strongly believe in standing up for what you think is right and activism if you want to stop it. And I also believe that censorship should not be a thing, especially in public systems where the purpose is granting equal access to information to everybody. There should not be one thing that gets oppressed just because a certain person doesn't think is right, doesn't want it on the shelves, that gives no individual or even group the right to restrict access to what everyone has. And I mean, that's really what we've been learning so far. Like, we've gone around, we've talked about, what we individually believe, scenarios, how we would deal with things, and honestly, it's great. Like, everybody's on the same page. I feel really welcome and just a part of the group in general. And I think everybody there is confident enough, has the power, has the skills to really make an impact and get our message across. And I'm really hoping that we can convince more people that book bans should not be a thing, that they should not be accepted, and that information is for everybody and should be free and unrestricted.
My name is Mari Kotke, and I am a sophomore at UnBanned High School. I joined the Books UnBanned campaign as a teen ambassador because it's a cause close to my heart as a writer and an ally. I believe that less representation available, with more conversations surrounding certain topics like LGBTQIA, would be labeled as taboo and therefore talked about less. As a teenager, I often feel like there is nothing I can do to make a difference in the world. So when I was introduced to the idea of being a teen ambassador for the Books UnBanned campaign, I was intrigued. I've learned so much from Emilia and other teenagers in this campaign. Emilia is a phenomenal teacher. She encourages a lot of open discussion and has us do a lot of hands-on activities. I learned the importance of speaking up and how to do that in a productive way to get my point across, as well as the history of the movement, statistics, and how things have changed drastically since then. I hope to gain the ability to speak with educated confidence about what I believe in and why, and the overall more well-rounded person. Thank you.
Oh, that's
Hi, my name is Nathan Walters III. I'm currently a junior at Viroqua High School. I decided to join Books UnBanned because freedom to read is very important to me. And with the growing amount of censorship that we've seen online through our government, we need to spread awareness about this. And this program is the perfect way to do so. Currently, I've learned how to make outreach event posters using Canva, which will help spread awareness about Books UnBanned. I've learned how to introduce myself formally at an outreach event, describing who I am, who the teen ambassadors are, and what our goal is, and how we can achieve those goals. And I have also learned how important literature is to people who may not have access to the internet at home, and how censorship can affect their freedom to read. I apologize if you hear the vacuum. My mother is currently vacuuming. I hope to gain more public speaking skills, more in-depth knowledge of the real-world impact on censorship, and methods on how to fight against censorship in person and online. So hopefully we can put an end to all censorship, and the freedom to read can be for everyone in our nation, hopefully the world. Thank you.
So those are the 5 teen ambassadors, and Emilia and I we couldn't be more proud of these students and how they've really just come to really love the Books UnBanned campaign. So we're going to give you a timeline of what we're doing here at McIntosh from October 2025 through October 2026. Again, overarching goals to build skills with these students so they have great public speaking skills, they're confident in outreach and relationship building, and that they are representing our library at various events throughout the community. So up until this point, a lot of it again has been happening behind the scenes with Emilia and Barry McKnight and Emma from the Brooklyn Public Library. But the first real thing they did was did a presentation to my library board. Unfortunately, my board meets in the afternoon, which is exactly when school is in session, so the students couldn't be here in person. But they prepared the video that you just saw, and we presented that at my library board meeting. And my board was very impressed with the students and their passion and just their wonderful speaking skills to tell everyone why they are behind the Books UnBanned campaign. During this month of February, they have been really working to prepare for their first big public event, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks, March 14th, here at the library. On March 14th, we're holding an event, and this will be the first time the students will be out in front of the public. They will be manning a table, and they will be there all day wearing their swag. They have some t-shirts with the Books UnBanned logo, and they will be in front of the public talking about Books UnBanned, who they are, why they believe in this, and that is what they are building up for. And I think they're ready to do this on March 14th. In April, we are doing a huge community event called Books UnBanned Freedom to Read. And this is going to be another opportunity not only to spotlight our teen ambassadors, but also what this small rural library here is willing to do to have a conversation about what could be a very touchy topic. So our Freedom to Read program, April 24th, its focus is intellectual freedom, book censorship, and the power of storytelling. We are really excited. We are bringing in two nationally renowned authors who have both faced some pretty serious book challenges. The first being Lois Lowry. Her book, The Giver, has definitely faced a number of challenges. And what's exciting about this is Lois will be presenting at our Viroqua High School gymnasium. This will be the first time the Books Unbanned ambassadors will be in front of their peers, standing up in front of the school students' body and talking about Books Unbanned and who they are, and also introducing our author. And then in the afternoon, we're giving the students, along with Emma from the Brooklyn Public Library, a 30-minute platform to, again, talk about the Books Unbanned campaign, why they're doing it, and the teen ambassadors will need to speak about their role, why they chose to do this, and what events they have planned for 2026. As part of the event, we are going to be screening the documentary film, The Librarians, which has really kind of swept the country right now with popularity. And lastly, we're bringing in author Angie Thomas to talk about her book, The Hate You Give, which has definitely faced a number of challenges. And so woven and out through this entire day are the Books Unbanned teen ambassadors, where they're introducing these prominent authors, having a very prominent role, talking about why they chose to be part of this campaign. And that's a lot when you think about doing all this with the teens, but we feel that they are prepared and ready to go. After April, we are then going to focus on June through October. What we're really doing, I think, is leading up to a final kind of hoorah moment during Banned Books Week, the first part of October. We're very fortunate. We're able to bring in author Ellen Hopkins. She primarily writes for teens, and we are focusing on one of her most challenged books titled Crank. And what we're going to do, we've actually already done it, is we purchased 40 copies of the book Crank. We're going to be giving them away to any community member interested in reading the book. They will be coming back to our library in October, where they will have a community conversation led by staff at the library about Crank and about Books Unbanned and about challenged titles. And so those teen ambassadors will really be front and center during Banned Books Week, not only creating displays inside the library, but tabling, being part of the conversation about the book Crank, and then having the opportunity to not only introduce but meet Ellen Hopkins in person in October, and we're most excited about that. One thing we want to, again, emphasize, and this talks about support. Getting a grant is one thing, and that is wonderful. There's no way we could do any of these activities without that grant. But we're talking about support that is more than financial, and that is starting with kind of those foundational pieces. You think about building a house. You can't build a house without the foundation being solid and steady and present. And that's what we did before we ever started going public with a campaign called Books Unbanned, or really having our name in our community about censorship. And how I started this was with my library board. It was back in the summer months when I asked the board if they wanted to be part of a training about censorship and book challenges. I didn't force anything on them, and all of them said yes. So I brought in my library system director, and she led a 90-minute training with my library board about what librarians and libraries across the country are facing right now with censorship and book challenges. And I'll tell you, the library board walked out of that training with their eyes wide open and saying, wow, we just did get it at this level. Mm-hmm. And then from the library board, I expanded to my staff. And our staff have been going through, as many of you probably have as well, numerous trainings on how to handle book challenges. We kind of talked about it earlier. We've done a lot of role playing in our staff meetings. One of us plays an angry patron, and then a staff member has to respond. And so we've really taken a lot of time to make sure our library board is well versed and trained, our staff is well versed and trained, and then we took it another step, and then we looked at the policies we currently had in place in our library. not only our collection development policy, but any policies or procedures that were in regards to book challenges. Our policy committee for the library board went through those documents, made some edits to bring them up to a little bit more relevant language, and then that was approved by my library board. Those policies and challenge forums have all been gone over with a fine-tooth comb by staff during staff meetings so they understand. And I also sent those documents to my library system director to make sure we weren't missing anything, because it's really important to have really, really strong policies. And we got a thumbs up from her as well. So that was kind of the support, the background, the foundation we built before we ever went forward with anything public with the Books Unbanned campaign. And this is our system director. Her name is Kristen Anderson. It's the Winding Rivers Library System. I can only imagine that in your library, you have a system director or someone at the system level that can lead educational programming with your board, with library staff, even your community. If Kristen, in my case, wouldn't have been the right person, I can only assume she would have referred to someone else at the system level or even at the state level with the Department of Public Instruction. We could also reach out to ALA or PLA. There's lots of resources out there, but taking the time to make sure that you feel educated and confident and strong before you ever embark on a campaign, I can't tell you enough. It's very, very important.
Really interesting.
And policy is your backbone. Again, making sure that you have a collection development policy that is up to date and that really checks many boxes. Also a challenge procedures policy. And most importantly, besides having those policies, is that people understand them. Make sure not only you, if you're the library director, Emilia leading this large campaign, or all staff, understand what is being said in those policies and have them readily available. Post them publicly on your website, have copies at your checkout desk. Again, if you don't have these policies, I can promise you that someone at your library system can help you develop them. I bet, I haven't checked, but I bet the American Library Association website has a list of policies, or again, your State Department of Public Instruction. These are really important. These are those foundation pieces again, because library policies protect you and they protect your staff.
Now, while a grant or additional funding for these types of projects can be helpful, they're not always a necessary component to start one. If your community is smaller or larger, you can scale the campaign to fit the needs of your library patrons. You can do school visits to recruit teens, and if you're able to, as we all know, teenagers like a snack, provide snacks as an incentive for them to join or be a part of the meetings that you hold. If you have the budget, you can also look at getting gift cards as an additional incentive. There are many things that you can do on a smaller scale that are free or low budget for your library, such as having a group of kids set up a banned book display, creating flyers about intellectual freedom to post around your library space, hosting book talks or clubs that focus on a banned book, and then after reading the book together, you can hold a discussion about the topics and themes that arose in that banned book. You can also hold a social gathering to talk about censorship and intellectual freedom in your library space, alongside many more programs that could be hosted. Here at McIntosh Memorial Library, we think that one of the most important things that we focused on, and that we would advise focusing on as well, in your efforts to build or create a campaign, is relationship building. Before you start anything, run this program past your library director, your board, and your staff to make sure that they are on your side and support this effort. The stronger your teamwork, the stronger your campaign. This can help to build long-term trust with your community and establish common phrases and verbiage that can be used later on down the line to help reduce any crisis response that may arise. It helps if you all know what your common mission is. This ties into what is one of our most important phrases here at McIntosh Memorial Library: go slow to go fast. This helps to build the quality of the speech and the campaign you create, as opposed to a quick and incomplete turnout that you could otherwise face. I highly recommend that you tailor your program to what age you want this to fall into. Here at McIntosh Memorial Library, we built our program around the teenagers of the ages 14 to 18. You can use your library system as additional backup. See if your library systems director, which for us was Kristen Anderson, would be willing to come in and do a talk about books UnBanned or the Freedom to Read Statement or the Library Bill of Rights. They should be there to help support you. There are also many other grants that you could look to help fund your initiative. Books UnBanned will come up for its grant renewal in fall of this year. So if this is a campaign that has interested you thus far, you can look at applying. There's also the Judith Krug Memorial Grant. This helps provide funding to your library to get banned books to develop your youth collections. Penguin Random House has also recently partnered with United Families to give funding to libraries to help expand their youth collections as well, wherein you could dedicate part of that funding to acquiring more banned book materials. It also does not hurt to have swag and visibility tools. These can be flyers with related logos, t-shirts, tote bags, pencils, bookmarks. The more you get the image out, the more you can build a relationship with your community. Lastly, as far as teen recruitment goes, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of doing school visits. Build a relationship with your local school librarian, or if you are a school librarian yourself, build that relationship with your students. Go into your schools, do visits with your middle and high school. That way, you can build that relationship with the students present and hopefully increase attendance for your campaign. As I said before, teenagers love a snack. Food is your friend. See if you can provide snacks at any meetings or programs you host. And if you have the budget, gift cards are always great as an additional incentive. So this is the toolkit that we have used at McIntosh Memorial Library. This is an open public resource that you can scan the QR code for and use at your own library going forward. We've adapted it for our rural context through the presentations offered, the resources such as the banned book bingo card that our teams use for program engagement, as well as many other programs that we have both coming up and have done in the past. It is an incredibly useful resource that I cannot recommend enough. And it also offers helpful unit layouts so you can follow it step by step and get something going for a long-term program series. So we are going to pause here on this slide for a moment so that you can scan the QR code. And I have also asked Chelsea to add the link into the chat here as well. Okay. Now, there are many things that you can do at your library that come at a practical, low, no-cost budget for your community. The first of these is creating a challenge book display. Maybe in your collection, you already have some materials that can be found on the ALA's topmost banned books. You can set these out on a table or a shelf or whatever space you have available and make a little flyer that talks about maybe why some of these books are banned and how reading them helps to boost the fight with intellectual freedom. You can also host community conversations where you read a banned book together or you gather to talk about intellectual freedom and censorship. Coming up here in July, we have the 250th anniversary of the United States. This is a great time to bring in a local speaker or advocate. Maybe you have the function of bringing in a local state senator or congressman or your mayor or somebody from City Hall to talk about their role and how they, with the community, can work to help fight in intellectual freedom. You can have your teen ambassadors or the group that you are able to found write letters to elected officials or invite them to your library space to talk about civic engagement. This is also a great time for your groups to learn about civic education and the various things that they are entitled to as United States citizens to help boost the fight for intellectual freedom. If you are able to found a group of teen ambassadors or middle school ambassadors or whatever age range you're assembling, you can have them lead book discussions with their peers or maybe some adults. They can also host events in your community or library space. They can also set up outreach tables that talk about what they're doing and why it matters, both in your library or nearby park or another organization in your community.
We also want to stress how important partnerships are. It's really good to have advocates and friends near you. And so, because this is a big topic, censorship, and it's just nice to have, I don't know, just that nice support system near you. We go internally first. For those of you that have a Friends of the Library, remember they have some various roles. Not only do they normally do some fundraising events for you, most probably a book sale, but also part of their role is to be an advocate for your library. And so working with your Friends of the Library board and their members is a great way to build that grassroots community partnership in your town. As we've talked about, local schools, it's so important. If you don't have a relationship with your local school, please do so. As librarians, we like to share ideas. I think we're pretty friendly folks. So if you don't know anyone at the school, you at least call the librarian. If you know a teacher, anyone, it's one foot in the door. And look for community organizations that really already support your library. For us, Emilia and I immediately thought of our Viroqua Lions Club. For some reason, that Lions Club is just latched onto the library, and they love us. And not only do they participate in various events that we do, such as their volunteer time, but my goodness, have they ever funded us very highly over the years through their fundraising events. So I'm not sure what organizations exist in your community. We have a lot, but the Lions Club apparently is our really good friend. And so building those partnerships and letting them know what you're doing with your campaign, such as ours, Books UnBanned, I think really feels good. It's like a warm hug knowing that we have these partners in the community who are supporting our efforts. We also really have found that in our community, at least, there's not a lot of places holding conversations, and the library has become that place. We often talk about, at least internally with staff, that we are a library where we are absolutely not afraid to have tough conversations. Besides doing the Books UnBanned campaign, we're also doing a very large opioid abatement campaign in 2026, where we're having, again, those difficult conversations, but they're important conversations. And let your library be that place. Different opinions are okay. One of the great people that I've had the pleasure of meeting comes from our State Department of Public Instruction. His name is Dr. Williams, and he's pictured in the bottom of the screen there. He's the gentleman that's handing me a certificate, and he always wears a bright purple velvet blazer, and he looks pretty sharp. But you know, think about bringing in someone like him, who is the strongest advocate for public libraries. Next to him is our mayor. On the other side of myself is a member of our library board and then a colleague. But again, creating a library is a safe place where you can talk about some difficult conversations. And you don't have to go grand and you don't have to go large. Maybe even just having what we are showing you. This is the little flyer or announcement about Banned Books Week, which is coming up October 4th through the 10th, 2026. If you've never embarked on any kind of Books UnBanned mission or censorship messaging, this is just a great way to start. Put out a little display. This is what it looks like coming up in October. Read for Your Rights is the title of this year's campaign. And we also want to empower you as you leave today's webinar that preparation is protection. And this really goes back to those foundational pieces that we put together, making sure our library board understood what we were about to start, but they were also trained themselves on how to handle perhaps a difficult conversation in the community where someone asks at the grocery store, why does the library have that book on their shelf? Also making sure staff are prepared and you as a director or a campaign leader are prepared as well. It's really important, especially in small towns, because you're noticed and you are trusted. And so remember that little motto that we use here called go slow to go fast? I can't say that enough. You don't have to rush into this. Build the foundations, get your policies in place, and then you can start out on what we're calling our Books UnBanned campaign.
We want to emphasize the message of the campaign that it is okay to start small. We've been in the fortunate position to have funding to do some larger initiatives. But for those that may not have that, you can do smaller things. Even a school visit or putting up a flyer is a great way to get the message out. You should build your campaign intentionally, and we would like to ask that maybe you try to trust your community. We understand that some communities may be facing unrest at a local, state, or federal level. So if it is not the time for you to do this campaign in your community, it is okay to wait until maybe the timing would be a little better. We want to emphasize that when we defend the freedom to read, we don't just protect books, we strengthen our communities. One quote that always makes me feel a little bit hopeful comes from a title that is often found in the banned books list presented by the ALA. It comes from Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli, and it states, people really are like houses with vast rooms and tiny windows. And maybe it's a good thing, the way that we never stop surprising each other.
We know we have tossed a lot of information at you in a very short amount of time. So please, if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, ideas, reach out to us. This is my contact information at the top. Trina, I'm the library director. There's Emilia as contact. She's our youth services director. And that's our website, McIntoshMemorialLibrary.org. We would love to hear from you, and we'd love for you to come to our community for our April 24th Books UnBanned program. We're so excited about that. Or in October, when Ellen Hopkins comes in, you can meet the ambassadors, our teen ambassadors. You can meet us and just really embrace this concept.
All right, we have now come to our Q&A segment. So if someone would like to toss a question out into the chat or maybe speak it aloud, this would be a great time for us to share some moments that we've learned from with each other. We could have an open discussion, and maybe if you want to share a challenge that your library has undergone, we can work together to try to see if we could problem solve that.
Yes, all right, great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Emilia and Trina. That was, I love the Books UnBanned program, the whole thing. I share about it all the time. I think it's a great resource and a great program that Brooklyn Public Library is doing for everyone. And I hope everybody is jumping on board and using it too. We do have some questions that have come in, yes. And if anybody does have anything else you want to ask or share about, have you used Books UnBanned at your library or anything, please do type into the question section of your GoToWebinar interface. Let's see here. First, someone said, and I agree, it's very cool to hear from the students themselves. The kids are fighting for books. I agree. Those were great little videos from all of the students you got to be involved with that. And we do have a question related to them too, which is nice. Someone wants to know, how has it been working with and training youth in organizing? Have you had or needed support, or is that in-house expertise? So specifically working with the teens.
Sure, so I come from a background in education, working with our local school librarian. Her name is Gidget. She's a fantastic woman and an excellent educator. I've been in the fortunate position where I've been able to go over to the high school multiple times. I've talked to her high school library council. That's how we were able to do the talk at the public schools. Trina was able to go over to our local private school system with the youth services associate who works with me in our department and present this campaign to the teens over there. So from that, we were able to get our initial applications that came in, and once we picked out the candidates that you saw in the video earlier today, we've been able to just sort of begin our workshops. As I said before, our initial meeting was back in November. We've met about twice a month since then. At each meeting, we start by going through a sort of series of short PowerPoints that hold some important lesson topics. We've learned about the history of the campaign from the toolkit that was shared. We hold open discussions. We have read articles together, talked about why that article matters, the lessons we've learned from them, things we would carry forward from those. And then we have done practice sessions, making flyers in Canva, for example, or practicing setting up what a table would look like. So with me, the Teen Ambassadors has been an equal mix of both discussion-based lessons as well as physical, kind of working through a PowerPoint or presentation together.
Great. That's good that you had that built-in expertise. Absolutely. Someone does have another question here, and we have a comment. A tip too about working with your schools, getting into the school. And this is not a question, but a tip. Secretaries, the secret K-12 foot in the door. This helped me navigate different schools. Each school was so different, even in the same district, culture-wise, and the secretaries kept a bug in the ear of the person who would keep programs going in each organization. Over time, it really built real support. Ambassadors in the schools may not be who you expect.
Interesting. Yeah.
Really, yeah. We have a question too. Someone wants to know, has this program opened up any negative feedback? Has there been any, because you didn't mention that earlier, you did mention that yes, we know lots of libraries and communities are facing book challenges and issues and book banning attempts. But did you have that at your library or in your community, or has making this Books Unbanned more prominent opened up any negative feedback, created people saying book challenges, decreased support from community or anything like that?
Interesting enough, we've had nothing but support. We spent a lot, and knock on wood, because you don't know, but we have spent a lot of time going down the rabbit hole of the worst case scenario humanly possible, and luckily none of that has happened so far. I've always said we have been a library that I believe pushes the elements of what a public library does. We really have become that trusted place in the community where these difficult conversations can take place. We just started distributing Narcan and fentanyl test strips in 2026. Again, we were prepared for the worst case scenario possible, and knock on wood, nothing has happened to date. And so I feel that we have a community that is so supportive of the library that they know we are not going to do anything that would be putting anyone in harm's way. That this is a library that is leading efforts in the right way, and our community trusts that and trusts us. And so again, today, knock on wood, and we've been public about this, we've sent press releases out about all of what we're doing, and we have yet to date had anything negative happen.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, that's something that I was wondering about too. I'm glad someone else also mentioned it, that communities, like you did mention, communities that are already in these situations might want to, might not be the right time to push something like this. And as a huge program, you could still do it as a, smaller type things possibly, but hopefully it doesn't bring the wrong kind of feedback. I am glad to hear that it didn't. And hopefully more communities will go towards what's happening in yours. Any other questions anybody have? We do have a comment about the collection development policy. When you talk about the policies, definitely look for policies out there. Lots of libraries just have them posted too on their websites too as well. I mean, there are your state library like us here, we help our libraries compose those as well. But collection development is a working policy, not a policy, just a policy in a notebook, not something in stone. You need to actually be using it. Absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. We always say the documents are fluid. They're meant to ebb and flow as times change. Ours wasn't bad. We had one in place, but we just needed to edit some of the language to really make it more relevant to today. And it really feels good knowing we kind of, it's like a security blanket. We have that in place, and that's what we use if anything would come forward.
All right, I will do that. All right. All right. Anybody have any desperate last minute questions they want to ask of Emilia and Trina before we move on? Yeah. All right, thank you so much, both of you. This is, like I said, Books Unbanned is one of my things that I love greatly, so I'm really glad that you were here to present about it and talk about how you were using it, and I hope more libraries will do this, and kudos to you for what you have all done there. All right, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
All right.